step, we're going to be putting together the rear door assembly. It looks like we've got the door hinge here with the frame, and then this little part of ramp, and then you put the cap piece on. Then you could come back and fill some gaps over here. Then there's sliding the doors in the back. We're going to have to see how that works out. But as far as problems with the parts, we've got here it wasn't molded very well, so there were some gaps. I think I'm going to let that sit the way that it is. Here, if you can see, the hinge piece did not come out. So there's supposed to be a hole right here. Just like on this side, to where this hinge can fit in. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut that out. And I think how I'm going to do that is with the pin vise. You know, and you'll take the pin vise and drill down, and hopefully some of that stuff will start breaking up so we can clear it out. Then we have this little part over here, which is a little lip, and I'm going to try and scrape that here with this tool to get it flat, and just do this until it comes pretty reasonably flat, and it'll save me a bunch of sanding. What I have to avoid is scratching, just like I just did the upper part right there, but more or less that's what I'm going to do. You know, just continue to work with this and get this sucker chopped down. You hear my cat in the background. She's wanting some attention because she's a cat, you know. Other than that, we got to go take these parts and wash them because they have mold release on them. You know, it's been hit or miss on the Dove getting that mold release off. You really got to work at it. And it looks like this is going to be cleaned up here in just a second. Booyah. Cleaned up. Good to go. It's got a scratch in it, but that'll have to do. This part I was a little bit worried because it's kind of warped. I don't think that's gonna hurt anything. But you know, just like when you're working with any resin, there's always going to be a good amount of cleanup. How this works out is this. This piece goes down like this. Nope, down like this. Then these blocks fit in there like that and push all the way to the end. Now, that's what locks in this, the door cover. And then this comes in and locks in. So what I'm actually probably going to do, that goes right there just like that. So what I'm actually going to do is probably put some pins in this and this just to give it a little stability and strength. And then we'll come in here and we'll close these gaps down. Like this one is not that pronounced, but this one is pretty pronounced. So we'll go in and we'll sand that flat and we'll putty it up, and then that should do that. And then I think what happens is this is your ramp. And eventually your ramp will go up under here like this, and then it just comes out like that. Now we have a problem with the ramp in that two things. It's warped, and one of the retaining pins has previously broken off. So we're going to have to come up with a fix for that. I'm sure we can do it. Won't be a problem. And then we'll probably have to get the heat gun out and make this thing not so much like a banana. After all that's done like this, then what's going to happen is they have some wall pieces that go in here, and then we move on to the next stage. So let's go wash these things. We'll come back and start some assembly. All right, guys, let's see if we can scoot in here a little bit. How we're going to handle this is we're going to take the pin vise with a small drill bit and try and get right up in the middle of it and drill down just a few. All right, there's one. And we move the pin vise and we drill down again. We come over here. You can actually see the outline of where it's supposed to be. cut out. But what we're going to try and do is hollow out as much of this stuff as we can without actually damaging the stuff that we need. For example, it would be very bad of me to break off that little wall right there. So we just have to be patient, chipping this stuff out. Just chip it out. There we go. It's coming. Now, actually, let me get the bigger pin vise. And what we'll do is we'll use the bigger pin vise to open that hole just a little bit. We don't want to go crazy, but all right, watch this. There you go, pin vise, do your job. I'm putting a little downward pressure on it, so it's kind of drilling it out for me. It doesn't have to be very deep or big, it's just got to fit that pin in there. Bring it to the table edge here. Oops. There we go. Almost there, man. It's almost it. There you go. Keep on going. Now, you would not want to do this with a Dremel. This requires a little bit of finesse, because if you break that wall off, you're going to have issues. And we're looking pretty good. Let's test fit. Hey, remember, the key to working with Forge World is the test fit. All right, it's got to be a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Let's keep going. I'm just removing a little bit at a time, if you can see it there. Just taking a little bit out, putting a little pressure toward me so that it'll chew up that back wall a little bit. Alright, look at that. Booyah, I think that's it. Yes, it is. Is it flush? Not quite. A little bit deeper. But it's the right width, if you can see. Oh, hang on. Alright, if you can see, it's the right width. It's just got to be a little bit deeper, and then we'll be in there. So let's keep doing it. Now I'm going to be applying downward pressure, because I want the pressure to, I want the stuff to come off the bottom. Still need a little more. See, I'm worried about that front wall. The front wall's getting a little thin. Let's try and dig it out with our X-Acto. We don't want to put pressure on that front wall, because I've already gotten it thin. There we go. Now let's try it. Ooh. All right, I think I'm calling that good. Nope, it's not good. It's not gonna be even. All right, we gotta figure out what we need to do now. Need to keep going. Hey, if these models were shake and bake, anybody could build them. But hopefully, showing you this kind of stuff, I mean, this is what it takes, man. Resin is for sure not plastic. And resin is, it's not really forgiving. I mean, you cut too much, you're done. You cut too little, and it's not going to fit right. Here we go. All right, I think that's it. That is it. Ta-da! Look at there, nice and even. It should open. Let's test it. Open that like that. Put these on there. That should close, and it does. Nice. And drop these in there to hold those in. And booyah, there you go. Opens and closes. And of course, that won't move once it's all glued in, but that's what you got. Now, you know, having looked at this, I'm probably going to want to paint some of this before I assemble. See how that goes. All right, let's go wash it off so we can get to the assembly. After a bunch of dry fitting, I went ahead and glued the ramp onto the bottom. And as you can see, I did it properly because the ramp cover will open and close without hindrance. I put in super glue here, and then along the little alleys that were back there. And I tacked it in back here. No pinning necessary on this part. But what I do believe I'm going to do is when I put this part in, if you can see this part right here is going to sit on these. And then these parts are going to sit in those grooves. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and scored this with my knife. Just sat here and made some score marks. And that, remember, that helps the glue dry in those cracks, and it increases the grip of the glue. Gives us something to hang on to instead of just a flat piece. Now I got a score over here, but these two will go together. And then I will just sandwich them together like this with my hands. And what I'm going to do at that point, so I can make sure that they're all good to go, I'm going to roll them over after the glue is dried, and I'm going to take my pin vise and drill through the bottom, and I'm going to insert some pins with some JB weld, just to make sure that this piece holds together. But it's going to be key to tack it in place because I don't want to end up having to sand and do a lot more stuff here. I'm already going to have to fill those holes. The trick part about this is how do the doors insert. But I think I figured that out, and it can go together as the instructions show. So let's get to that part, and we'll come back and look at putting the doors and stuff in. All right, guys, check it out. I got it together. Here's what it looks like. Here's the little door, because we were able to fix that part right there. I actually have taken super glue and filled the gaps right here. You may see some Zappa gaps still seeping out. Basically what you do is you hit it with the super glue, hit it with a little Zappa gap, and then sand it down. And then if you notice that you have little dimples or stuff, you go back and sand it some more. This will probably need a little polish off before I put the first paint, coat on it. Well, what you do is when you prime it, you'll see the spots. But I'm pretty happy with how this came out right here. And I just keep moving the door to make sure that I've got no glue seeping around. That'll be that. So no glue. Back here you can see I'm not even going to pin this anymore. I was going to pin it, but I got such a good grip, and it went together so well. I think it's really strong. I don't really need to because I scored the top part and the bottom part, and as soon as the glue smacked together, it was dry. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put in the doors. This is a little tricky because there are these grooves here that the doors have to go in, so that they can, so that you can open and shut them in a certain way. So you pay attention to the picture. If you see what I'm doing, the hinge is on the outside. You just got to work it through. Nope, it's gonna go. All right, let me make sure I got the picture. This one goes like this. See, that's why you gotta look at the picture. All right, there it goes. What I did was I threw my finger up behind here and guided it in. And so it'll come all the way out, and then it will shut like that. So there's one door. And then you take your finger and push it in there like this, make sure it's good. Then we're gonna take this door, we're gonna do the same thing right here. It's gotta go. Just like that. And see, it'll come out this side like that. And it's going to shut. Now it's like a hangar bay. It looks like actually the cave in Star Wars when they were on Hoth. You know, it's open the blast doors. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and if you notice I've already pre-primed these, and they slide into these little grooves right here. And that way your doors can open, and they store when they're open inside of there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply a little glue, and we don't want to put a lot of glue, we just want to put a little glue to the top and bottom. Alright, there's the top. We're going to keep the bottom out of the track. And we're for sure not going to open the doors until these are dry. Alright, a little extra glue squeegeed off right there, so we'll wipe that with our paper towels. I always like to have paper towels or Q-tips around when I'm doing stuff, so that way I can make sure I can clean up if there's a mess. Same thing on this one. Now if you notice, I didn't put any on the end because the end will be touching the door, and we don't want that to glue to this. After a few minutes, the super glue will dry, and this will be finished. Alright, same thing, squeegee off. Make sure you touch it to go in there. It's good, it's in tight, in tight. Alright, here's the door from the outside. That would make a kind of cool piece of terrain, would it not? It looked like the door to a base or something. But anyway, our little thing still functions. When the door's open, that'll open. And when we get this all sanded, you know, and polished up, it'll be flat and you won't even know those lines are there. All right, so now we're moving on. This part is done, and we're moving on to some big honking parts. These two big halves over here, but let's look at them in a second.